We're going to Morocco, not like Dorothy Lamour and Bing Crosby and Bob Hope did. I'm not going to ride camels for you. And as a matter of fact, this is part one of the trip to Morocco. We're going to cover the north being Casablanca, Tanger as they call it, we call it Tangier, Fez, and Rabat. Rabat is the capital city. You're going to see some things that are interesting. And for sure, Morocco is nothing like any place in this country. Come along, we're going to have a good time. Standing here at the edge of the old city in Casablanca, which means white town, White House. And you can see how white the city is. It was a village until about 1950 when there was a huge influx of Europeans who were afraid of World War III. And so they came flooding into Casablanca and changed the character of it forever. This is, you see there are people in miniskirts and in traditional clothing. It's a fascinating city, a few palm trees, a lot of high-rise buildings. And we're going to see some more of the old city and some of the new. Here's a veiled woman over here. Not too many of them in Casablanca. We're going to see much, much more of Morocco. I know you're going to love it. I do. Here I am against the old walls of the city of Casablanca, so you can see what it looked like in the days that Bogey and Ingrid were here and made this city famous. But now you see lots of cars, many fewer palm trees, and just a lovely town. The contrast between the old and the new is fascinating. We're going over to the Grand Mosque in a few minutes, but wanted you to have just a little bit of an idea of what the center part of the city is like. Casablanca, White House. You can't come to Casablanca and not have anything to do with the film. And here is a bar devoted entirely to Bogey and Ingrid. And the atmosphere is just right. Even the gendarme behind the bar, the bartender, dressed like a gendarme. He's really not the fuzz, the fleek, but that's what, he's here to lend atmosphere. Standing now at the Grand Mosque, the new mosque, this most magnificent, humongous in size, magnificent in proportion, absolutely glorious in its decoration in every possible way. It's named for the current king, Hassan II. It's made Casablanca a center for tourism just because of its magnificence. The ceiling rolls back and it becomes a huge open space. Otherwise, so many, it's on the edge of the sea, by the way, and we'll walk up to it and get a closer view of what it's like. On the grounds of this Grand Mosque, it's a library, huge library, in proportion, in perfect proportion to the mosque itself, and very beautiful architecture. Here we are at the edge of the Atlantic Ocean, our Atlantic, only of course the other side. And the sea is roaring in here against the rocks. And we're on the edge of the grounds of the Grand Mosque. And then turning around, just opposite, across the plaza, is the most tranquil fountain. Beautiful mosaics. Of course, you know, the Arabs don't believe in representational art, so they do their art all in calligraphy and beautiful inlay work. And that's what we're seeing here. contemporary. The faithful are coming to pray at the mosque. No one but Muslims can go into the mosques here in Morocco. You notice the women are wearing traditional dress. Looking through the arches, you get a sense of this marvelous architecture that has existed throughout the centuries. Just beautiful, with the faithful coming to pray and others just wandering around, children playing. It's a gorgeous sight. Now, I'm with the bellman from the lovely, absolutely lovely Sheraton Hotel here in Casablanca.
Welcome,
You see how...
Welcome, madam.
And it is that kind of welcome that makes people feel so at home here in this lovely hotel in Casablanca. So pleased to be here. I'm talking with Nadia now, who is one of the managers of the hotel.
Executive coordinator.
An executive coordinator. This hotel runs so beautifully, and it is so attractive. Contemporary hotel almost anywhere in the world, except that it is very Moroccan and very indicative of lovely Casablanca. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just in case you had any question about what the Moroccan style is, instead of just this gorgeous contemporary, this, you're looking at a good example of it. Low seats, brass trays, but here they do it in a little more contemporary style. There's no design on the tray, and I must say I love it, but boy, the amount of polishing it takes to keep it gleaming like this is fascinating. In the city of Tangier, or that's what we call it anyway, they call it Tanger here. And we're across from Spain. We're in Morocco, but directly across from Spain, somewhere out there, I can't see it exactly, is the Rock of Gibraltar. And here are the people who live here. We're all standing here enjoying the late afternoon sun. See all the ships anchored out there? That's where the pirates came in the olden days. No pirates now. Just a bunch of nice people here in Tanger.
Thank you very much. Thanks to you, madame.
Fascinating architecture, a cross between Moorish and Spanish. And you can see the people here still wear their very traditional costumes, the jalabas, the women, married women, and they're sitting enjoying the afternoon sun as well. Here at the port, facing out towards sea to keep whatever pirates may have any ideas that they want to invade these days. And I'll tell you, Tangier is hopping, and it's only getting late afternoon. I can't wait to see it at night. Now we've moved from the outside of Tangier into the lovely hotel known as El Minza. What does El Minza mean?
Minza mean is nice view.
It has a nice view, and it does have a nice view indeed. Tell me your name, sir. Here's the concierge. Dig that outfit.
My name Adi, A-D-D-I.
Adi, nice to talk to you. This is like being in the Arabian Nights in this hotel with its lovely dark furniture and beautiful paintings, and we'll take a few minutes to walk around and see some of the rest of it.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, madam.
You can see some of the furnishings. It's very traditional here, in contrast to the hotel where we just were in Casablanca. And all of Tanger is more traditional in many ways. Not as beautiful as in this hotel, however, because it's a lot of commotion out in the street. King Hassan II, who was a very benevolent king. He's in Washington now while we're in Morocco. However, we probably wouldn't have met to say hello anyway, so it's nice we have his picture right here. This is the entrance to the Malcolm Forbes Museum. with hundreds of thousands of toy soldiers here. He bequeathed his collection shortly before he died. And this gentleman playing this very primitive instrument from the south au sud, monsieur. He's from the south of Morocco. And look at all the beautiful flowers here. This is in Tanger as they call it here, or Tangiers as we call it in the States. Let's go inside and take a peek at what they have in the museum. Beautiful building. Yes, and here we are inside the museum, just at the beginning of it. And the thing that's wonderful about these toy soldiers is that they're all Arabic toy soldiers or Berber toy soldiers, but they're all from this part of the world. There's no North and the South or the Revolutionary War. These are all miniatures of toy soldiers from this part of the world with camels on camels and drawing bows and arrows and on elephants. I mean, we've got really quite an assortment of things here. I think you'd find it interesting if you were here. This is in Tangier. And this shows soldiers storming and defending one of the Casbahs. A Casbah, just to disabuse you of the notion that a Casbah is the place where Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman got together. This is a Casbah, a castle. And that's where they were fortified. And people would fight from the inside and out, just sort of like the forts in the Indian in the West, you know, soldiers and the Indians. So you get an idea. And here's a scene, a desert scene, sort of the Bengal Lancers. Guys riding camels and other people fighting with shields and lances, and it was quite a while ago. But all the detail is simply beautiful, and they're very, very exquisite when you see all of them surrounding you. Well, this is Hollywood fame personified. Liz Taylor lived here. After she was married to Malcolm Forbes, she brought her next sweetie here for their honeymoon. And then 007 was filmed here. I don't know, one of the James Bond movies. Can't keep track of them after a while. But as you can see, it's mighty pretty here. We're standing outside of the Blue Gate in Fez. You can see why it's called the Blue Gate. It's the old gate into the Medina. And standing with me is Si Abdul, who is Sammy Davis Jr. If you take a fast look, you'll see why they call him that. And he is a certified tour guide in Fez, which means that you don't get ripped off here. You pay attention to what he tells you to do and where he takes you, and he will be honest with you. And that's so important when you're here, to know what you're doing and go with someone who is reliable and just great. So let's go in and take a peek into the old city. Here you get a chance to see all the variety of Moroccan candies they have. All very sweet, but all very delicious. Made with all kinds of nuts, mostly almonds. I assure you I'll eat my share before we leave. What you're looking at here are the old minarets. The first one from a mosque, the old, older looking one from a mosque from the 11th century, and the other from the madrasa, the university where the students go to study the Quran. Mountains of olives in every way, shape, or form, with lemon, without lemon, with hot pepper, without hot pepper, black olives, green olives, every way you want to eat olives, and olive oil. They have lots of it here. And then there are pickled lemons there on the shelves. Am I missing anything, Sammy?
No, you're not missing anything.
All right, we're standing here next to a very handsome young man who is making, you're not going to believe these beautiful, our tombstones. And Sammy Davis Jr. is going to translate a little bit for me.
Yes, he's, as you see, he's mentioning the name of the person who died, and then he starts by saying, "In the name of God, the most merciful and the most compassionate." And then at the end, he will write in Arabic, and he starts from the right to the hand, from the right to the left, and saying, "We belong to God, and to Him we return." That's what.
Thank you so much. We're coming into the oldest section of Fez, the Medina, which is 9th century, built in, when did you say,
808 by the first Muslim dynasty. And this section, it's the most fascinating section in Morocco.
I'm sure it is. I've been here to Fez before, and I'm having a wonderful time with it now. Let's go see what else we can find.
One of the most places we don't want you to miss when you come to Fez. It smells here because they work all different kind of skins. And this tannery exists since the beginning of the 14th century. They work, as you see, all different kind of skins. And but you find mainly goat skins and sheep skins. You see, there are different vats with different beautiful colors. But it's less activities. It's better to sit in the morning, you know. It's.
Now you're seeing ahead of you what's called a Moroccan taxi. The donkeys that come right through this very crowded area, the Medina, and you better get out of the way because they sure aren't going to move. This is the interior of a madrasa, a religious school where people come to study the Quran. And this, our guide tells us, Sammy told us, was the most beautiful one. This is from the 14th century and was built by the 5th dynasty, and the students used to live up in those little gated areas upstairs, walled areas. You know that according to the Quran, religious Muslims are forbidden to draw representational figures of the body, or even of animals. So they express their artistic ability in this gorgeous calligraphy, writing and designs. Absolutely wonderful and beautiful. And here, you're lucky, we're hearing the muezzin calling the faithful to prayer. You hear that You hear that several times a day as he calls the people, time for prayers.
He's saying, the one who is calling people to pray now, he's saying, come to pray, come to pray. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his last prophet. He does it 5 times a day. Takes him like 10 minutes each time to do it, and to pray it only takes 15 to 20 minutes.
We're standing here in the largest square in the Medina. This is where the copper men, the copper workers work. You can see these big pots that they're making, and the donkeys that carry them out. Evidently, if you buy one of the really big ones, oops, excuse me, you can't buy them, you rent them. You must automatically have a donkey to carry it out. When you're having a big party, I'll have to remember, rent a donkey. But you've got to have a license to drive those donkeys. And I want you to see opposite me here that the universal signs, the universal highway signs even work here in the old square of the Medina in Fez. There is no donkey stopping. You see the red circle with a donkey in it? If you came to that in the United States, you'd know what it meant, except we don't see very many donkeys that they're stopping from parking. We'll look at some of the hides over here on just to the side. Some of the hides that were being tanned in the tannery that you just saw, where the people were working, doing the work with the raw leather. From brass and copper, we're moving into the silver area, where they do silver dipping, actually do the work here and sell it at very reasonable prices, actually. The handcrafts here are simply exciting. And if you have a good guide, why, you can get through this area without too much hassle. Any hassle. This is the Moroccan taxi stand. Well, Medina style anyway. See how smart these donkeys are. They just stand here, and they'll stand here forever unless somebody gets on and kicks them and shows them, tells them to go. They're very patient animals, but once somebody gets on, they go through that Medina. Boy, they know the back alleys just as well as we know Philadelphia. This is an official cooperative of the state, and there's where the young women are weaving the Moroccan carpets from Fez. They have their own special designs. Special women who are trained to work on carpets. All these are natural wools and natural colors. Okay, so that you're seeing the work in, you see how much trouble it takes, and that's why they don't come cheap. Well, this is in an old palace where this rug weaving is taking place, and you see some magnificent examples of the kind of work that was done. Is that an old one, the big one over there?
Yeah, this old one. That is very, very old.
Very, very old. The new ones have more bright colors like that red. But
Red is green.
those are Fez designs, though. This is the Janan Palace, an example of a very grand new property that built about 3 years ago, and very luxurious. Here you see the entrance to the property. It's all very contemporary, but it's distinctly Moroccan, and wonderful, wonderful grounds, magnificently and immaculately kept. We're standing on the terrace of the Hotel Marinide, and appropriately enough looking at the Marinide tombs. The Marinide were in this part of the world, well, more than 1,000 years ago. I can't be exact, but you can tell it was a long time ago. And we're standing up high over the old city, which we're going to show you in just a minute. Here you get a picture of old Fez. People riding donkeys, wearing the same medieval clothing. There's more coming up the road, and looking down over the old city. So you get a difference of what it's like to be here in a marvelous contemporary hotel, but one that overlooks the old city. It's not out in the Nouvelle Ville as the Palais, whatever it was, the Janan Palace was. Two-car family. We're here at the Mausoleum of the King, old kings. And there you're looking at the King's Guard. We're going to see the guard change in just a little while, and I understand it's a very colorful ceremony. So stick with me, we'll walk in, look at the old mausoleum, and then we'll come back for the change. This is the very famous Tower of Hassan, the old Hassan, the original King Hassan, not Hassan II, the one who was just visiting the president. And here in the very old area, probably 8th century, 10th century, I don't know, I'll find out and let you know later. This is the mausoleum itself. As you can see, these guys take it very seriously about the way they maintain homage to their kings. People come to have their pictures taken with these guards on these perfectly beautiful horses, and they have a good time too, and they have people taking their picture for a souvenir. It's wonderful. It's very colorful here. And okay, here the kids have all gathered around like kids will anywhere to see what's going on, and they're all going to be on television in Philadelphia. Philadelphia. Come on, everybody, say Philadelphia. Come on. Philadelphia. Merci, monsieur. While it's a great treat for me to be here, as you can see, it's a great treat for everybody. Come on, gang. Come on. Let's all talk together. Let's say Maroc. Shall we say Maroc? Come on. No. Okay, they're shy. But we're having a good time. And the horse is having a good time. Here is the Moroccan flag flying proudly over this mausoleum area, as it does almost every place at the King's Palace and, of course, everywhere, and in front of every government building, much like ours, but that's the handsome Moroccan flag. They're bugling down the flag, and then there'll be the changing of the Royal Guard. Okay, now you've traveled with me through the northern part of Morocco, which I must say is one of my absolutely favorite countries. Now in part 2, what's coming next is the southern part, the very romantic part of the country. You'll be going to Marrakesh, that very mysterious and wonderful city. We'll be going to Ouarzazate, not where is that, but where it's at, to Zagora, to Taoudan, very traditional, and Agadir, which is a gorgeous beach resort. Come along with me next time, and I hope you've enjoyed the beginning. It's a super, super wonderful country. We'll have a great time again in part 2.